Scott Morrison does continue to impress, and I rate him one of the biggest political improvers I've seen in my time. His command of detail on many fronts is impressive. Of course, it is a legacy of him having been Treasurer. The real issue that he now has to grapple with, though, is, as I said to Peter before, what detail does he need to address? In other words, having won a remarkable mandate from the people, what issues have to be tackled to best represent the people? It's easy to get caught up in US-China trade deals, G20 meetings, theory about changes to the Constitution. That's not what the public are talking about. We've talked often here about energy, talked about it tonight. That has to be front and centre. The reality is electricity prices are hopeless. For individuals and for business, being still in love with renewable energy is economic vandalism. Someone in Canberra's got to bite the bullet. On new coal-fired power stations, revoke the ban on nuclear energy. Later tonight, with Israel Folau, we'll talk about freedom of speech and freedom of religion. The public are angry. But so far, we haven't heard a word from our leaders. They're running away from the issue. Then there's this dairy industry. 20,000 dairy farmers 30 years ago, 6,000 now. And they're walking. They can't stay. How can they? The farm gate price can't pay for the cost of production. Not a word from Canberra. Are we going to import all our milk? Reality is most of the problems we face, we could say all of them, are a consequence of bad government policy. Tower box collapsing in Sydney, built in a hurry without proper scrutiny to address a population explosion that government won't address. And then there's water. Where have you heard a politician who has the clout to make decisions and talk about water? I mean harvesting it. Earlier this year, an area in North Queensland, the size of England, was feet, not inches, underwater. Hardly a drop harvested. I've grown old arguing this issue. This country is not short of water. If you go to Western Australia, Lake Argyle on the Ord River Dam releases 50 tonnes of water per second into the Ord River. Only 10% of it's used. 45 tonnes a second goes into the Timor Sea. 4 billion litres a day is not used. And cop this, the Fitzroy River is 50 times greater than the Ord River. Lake Argyle is Australia's second largest official lake by volume. The Gordon in Tasmania is the largest. 60% of Australia's freshwater runoff is above the Tropic of Capricorn. But North Queensland produces about 1% of the nation's agriculture. We go on about the bloody Murray-Darling Basin. It's boring and it's irritating. Its volume is a piddling 22,700 gigalitres. Queensland's north-east coast has 91,500 gigalitres of water available. Now, a gigalitre is 1,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So Queensland's northeast has 4 times the water of the Murray-Darling Basin. Go further west, the Gulf of Carpentaria currently has 130,500 available gigalitres. Remember, a gigalitre is 1,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The Gulf of Carpentaria, 130,500 into the ocean. The Timor Sea region, that's around the Ord River, 81,200 gigalitres. Now, remember, we're bored rigid with talk and legislation about the Murray-Darling, 22,700 gigalitres. Then there's the Clarence Basin in northern New South Wales. Jack Beale in the 1940s proposed a giant water and power project that would dwarf the Snowy Mountain scheme. He talked about 14 storage dams linked by cuttings and tunnels and pipelines to divert inland some of the 5 million megalitres of water, 10 Sydney harbours that flow out to the ocean from the Clarence River every year. He wrote at the time, surplus coastal water is the logical future source for arid inland development and electricity generation. He said, the water captured under the scheme could be diverted to Queensland and into the Murray-Darling, doubling the flow of the Murray-Darling and minimising its salinity. Ominously, he said, in the 40s, isn't this wonderful? Listen to this. A nation can't afford to let resources remain idle, even if it has to build pyramids. Beale argued this could have been underway by 1988 and completed by 2001, the centenary of Federation. I fought strongly for this when I worked for Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser. In 1983, the Fraser government approved $4 million, big money then, to investigate Jack Beale's idea. The incoming Hawke government cancelled the money. Water, water everywhere. And as the poet Coleridge lamented, not a drop to drink. One final point. Money available to the government has never been cheaper since this country federated. A sensible government would borrow, it would create productive debt. We could secure the water and energy future of this country. With the certainty of harvested water west of the Great Dividing Range, we could feed all of Asia, harness our coal and uranium and our gas instead of exporting it and tripping ourselves up in ideology, and we'd be the energy powerhouse of the world. Can someone please explain what the hell we're waiting for?